So this is a bit of a surprise mission today. I'm basically here to investigate the absolute craziest indoor spot I have ever seen in my entire life. I just kind of stumbled upon this spot the other day. I just kind of peeked in and I thought, oh, there's some stuff in there. So I came back today, walked around a bit with a bit better light, and when I walked in to this spot, I was like, holy crap. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts in here. Like, absolutely nuts. There's literally so much stuff going on in here that I have no idea where to begin. So, like, there's so much stuff that I see in here that could have massive, awesome ripping potential. But on the other hand, there's a lot of gotchas, there's a lot of stuff hanging down from the roof and all that. For one, and for two, I've never flown here before, so I don't really know the layout. So, today's mission is just to explore this spot. You know, there's also RF stuff that I have to figure out, but the only way to get into it is just to try it out. I'm still a little bit in awe. I don't know how I'm going to even begin to fly this spot. I might get kicked out too, but the deal is, this is like a spot that it's totally abandoned. It was meant to be a shopping mall, and it's big, and it's abandoned, and I just walked it. All the ingredients for a good time. So yeah, time to explore this sucker. This is just crazy. But I've really got to take it slow. So the hardest thing about this whole mission is going to be self-control. Really got to take it slow and learn the layout before I start pushing it, but there's going to be part of me that's going to want to just do moves and things like that, and I got to balance that with light, because generally I like to work up pack by pack. There's not that much light, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure it out as I go. Basically, there's like a fine layer of dust like everywhere. If you even touch the floor, you get this stuff on you. That is because no one's been here in probably forever. And I have no idea how big it is. Still got to feel out lines and stuff like that. You know, long way to go before I kind of like feel like I know this spot. And there's so many little gotchas because of basically all the stuff hanging from the ceiling, right? So just because you see a nice gap doesn't mean that there's not something hanging like right in front of it or after it or whatever. Yeah, and you won't find that out until you fly it. So gingerly I shall continue to explore. I already crashed a couple times. And there's quite a bit of RF noise in here, which would be your classic, like, I don't know what they call it, interference, basically. Reflections off the metal. So even when I'm close by, there's a lot of sizzle. I can still see, but I can't see absolutely perfectly. That's where the Rapidfire is kind of nice, because at least it holds the picture steady in the middle. So I can kind of fly through some static. Yeah, let's keep exploring this spot. What I would basically want to do today, ideally, is just identify a couple of cool lines and stuff and just fly that. That would be more than enough. But there's like so much crazy crap in here. It's amazing. But baby steps, man. God damn it. Why do the friggin' fans in these Fatsharks just never work predictably? God, it's so annoying. Come on, turn on, dude. It's like, yeah, it's all connected and everything. Battery's fully charged. I could even probably show you. Where's the little squeezy thing? Full battery and everything. This stupid fan just... And this is a place where you really want a fan. You do not want your goggles just fogging up. It's like super hot. It's really humid behind these goggles. That's so annoying. there, so I got caught up in 2 wires from the ceiling. And that one motor sounds pretty, doesn't sound, I can smell one motor. Pretty burned out. That's what happens in spots like this. Benefit of crashing is you can take a little time to do additional recon. So like, holy crap. Yeah, it's like super full of Bando scraggle in here. So look at all these things hanging from this floor. I think I'm on the 3rd floor or something. Still room over there in this area, but yeah, this area is fraught with potential pits of doom. The other thing you gotta do is watch your step, because these are some nice stairs though, I will say that. Solid. But keep in mind that these places aren't finished, right? So all the little niceties like handrails and stuff like that are not there. And if you fall down and if you break yourself, no one's gonna hear you scream either. Huh. I think I can fly another pack here though. I think I'm obligated to fly another pack here actually. Bloody hell. Such a spot. But yeah, rip it with caution. Not for the faint of heart. That's for sure. The other thing is that little incident is a good example of how turtle mode is not a get out of jail free card. So keep that in mind. You can get into little spots where you cannot turtle out of it, and in fact in these concretey places turtle mode could actually make things worse, because when you're turtling on concrete it tends to chew your props up a lot. In fact, I will show you. Ooh. So yeah, so just turtling, trying to get out of there. So this prop's loose, and that's why this motor got super hot. Oh, and that one came loose too. So yeah, I was doomed. Sometimes the props will come loose on turtle mode, but really what you got to watch out for, turtling on concrete, it's like your props are just going to chew themselves up because your quad's upside down, you're just going bleh, and it's basically like a blender for props. So, you know, there's just no guarantee it's going to work. And yeah, that guy, no way he was flying out of there. So how do I prepare my quad to fly in bandos, you might ask? Well, a couple little easy tips of advice. Really simple stuff, and this applies to any frame, not just roosters. One thing I like for flying in bandos is these little foam pads down here. They just make bouncing off stuff that much easier. Absorbs a little shock so your quad's not going clack, because when you go clack and you have no cushioning there, that's a lot of shock that just goes up into everything else, and you don't want that. So ugly rubber mats, they help. Quite often you can bounce off stuff as well and kind of fly away from it. Second thing, TPU guards on your frame. So I used to hate these things. I think they're ugly and all that, but the fact is they work. They save your carbon. You're going to be bashing a lot of stuff. They're going to take a lot of hits, and they're going to help save your motors. So yeah, TPU all the things. Personally, I like a TPU butt on my quad, so this guy flexes, and you can see this antenna has seen its share of mayhem. So just as much protection, basically. TPU is a good one. But yeah, you need protection. The reason TPU is good is because it's a little flexy. It's not like PLA where it's going to shatter. You want that little bit of give, again, to absorb some shock. What it would be the other thing I would say is get motors. Doesn't have to be these motors, but get motors where you can get replacement belts. because you are going to just bend these things, right? So when the quad crashes, think of it this way, when the quad crashes, it's going to usually be your frame, right, and your motors, either this way, that way, whatever. Your motors are going to be contacting the ground when you tumble upside down, and they're usually going to hit on the shaft. Sometimes you will hit stuff on the bell. If you buy motors where you can get replacement bells really easily, that'll save you a ton of hassle. One screw, replace bell. Motors 8 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times are perfectly fine after a bell swap. That would be it. Other than that, I would say, yeah, make sure you have good grip on your battery. So I got a Kevlar battery strap, and this grip stuff works amazing. It just means that my batteries are not going anywhere, so when I crash, usually the quad stays plugged in and the lipo stays attached, and that makes it easier to find the things because I can rely on my video, or I can echolocate it by, you know, blipping the motors and this and that. Very important. For that reason, I also run my pigtail up through the top here, because with the session on, it protects this guy from a lot of strain, so my lipos don't get unplugged very easily either. And yes, of course, a TPU mount for your camera. I would not recommend a Hero 7 ever for Bando work, session or nothing. Maybe one of those cheaper cams, but they suck in terms of image quality. So I would say session all the way. You need a good TPU protection for your session. And that's it. It's basically like just a matter of putting bumpers on your quads and make sure things are easy to replace, particularly the motors. But the other stuff doesn't really seem to get whacked that often. Occasionally I will mess up a camera, and usually that's just swapping a camera lens in and out. That's all I tend to break, so I've built my quads accordingly. And yeah, that's it. Another thing I did, I use race wire. You cannot see the race wire, but this is that race wire PCB stuff so that I can desolder motors from here. If I do mess up a motor, I just desolder here, swap the motor on, solder it on, off I go. No problems. So I don't need to open my stack and solder near the flight controller or the 4-in-1, because when you do that, you may mess up these contacts in your 4-in-1, or you get solder blobs near your circuitry, and you just don't want that. So I like to keep all the soldering action around here if I'm just replacing motors. If I have to go in the stack, I'll go into it, no big deal, but I try to avoid that. If it's working, you would just want to leave that alone. If something's working, don't mess with it. Don't touch it. Just focus on the repairable stuff. Anyways, that's it. Basically, put like soft pillows all over your drone and you should be good to go. You might be watching me fly this spot and thinking, oh, I see that and this and that and this and that. You could do this here and that there and all these things. I can do so much more awesome. And you might be right, but the thing is, you're not here, I am. And I'm a little nervous, to be quite honest. I am nervous. I'm not one of these pilots who can just show up and fly 100%. I have serious nerves, dude. And I have a fear of totally screwing my, like losing my quad. I don't mind breaking stuff so much, but I don't want to lose it. So for me, the worst case scenario that I can think of here would be like losing the quad, like catching it on some wire in the ceiling and just having it hanging, or I can't get it down and these are wires all hanging, so you know, can't just cut them or something like that. That would be bad. So for that reason, among many others, I'm being a little bit careful. I think you can get access to these different floors, but also, yeah, I don't want to crash somewhere too obscure where I'm going to have a really difficult time retrieving the quad. It's like a balance between exploring it, because I want to get to know it, and there's also no point coming in and just going wild and smashing the quad everywhere. I do want to kind of learn how the spot's set up, so that like next time I come back and the time after that, I can keep building up and eventually just fly it better and better and better and better and better. I mean, there's so much potential in here. Yeah, I'm aware of that. I guess you could say that unlocking that potential, to me, just takes a little bit of time. Because, you know, it's not only, for example, look at this, right? This little thing here. And you're probably thinking, yeah, I could like power loop that, or I could go through I could Matty flip that, man, and all this, who knows what. Yeah, maybe you could, but consider this. You need an entry point, so your quad's going to be moving, so you need an entry point and an exit point. So you need a line in, and then you need a line coming out. So you need to know where your quad's going to be going on that line out, and when you're exiting, what's there, right? Well, you do have a nice open spot, it seems, but you have an angled roof thing. So that's going to limit your exit angles to actually a bit closer to me than you think. And there's all this roof scraggle stuff. So there's that, and there may be stuff on the floor sticking up that you don't know about. So when you're coming out of that move, you're going to have to know really well where you're heading, and you're going to have to be able to put the brakes on that quad really quick, or you're going to come out of it and maybe smash the railings here, smash another pole or something, or, you know, just tangle the quad up in the roof because it'll bounce off the floor because of the I-term thing with air mode, and who knows, sometimes you can deflect off stuff as well, and you'll end up facing somewhere totally random. And so you got to make a quick call in that case too. So in terms of defining a really smooth flow, if you're coming the other way, if you're coming this way, I can see the exit of that hole. There's a whole ton of stuff hanging down from the ceiling. So, you know, good luck just doing that on the first time. I don't think that will work out. You may not get hung up in it, but usually when I hit these little hanging things, it'll spin the quad out like mad. And then you never know what direction it's gonna sort of end up at. So you gotta, it's things like that, you gotta work your way up, in my opinion. And your quad will last longer too. At the same time, yeah, you have to push it. You can't be a total granny all the time. Although you could, if you were really cautious, you could actually just cruise the whole spot, record it, go home, review the video at home, in the safety of your home, take time, think, and then come back and do it that way. That takes a bit longer and it's a little less fun. You just gotta balance these things, right? And everyone has their balance of what they're happy with. I like to stay kind of in the comfort zone, or maybe on the edge of the comfort zone, like near the edge. And if I go out of the comfort zone, then, you know, I'll do that occasionally, but only if I have a pretty good idea that I can fly my way through it somehow. If that makes sense. That is sure fun. I don't even know if you can see anything. Have to readjust my GoPro for dark. Fly in this spot, I think. Could stay here longer. It's getting a little dark, so I'm gonna just shift to another little area. I just had to check this out today. One rule in bandos, man, pick up all the evidence. Because why not? Stealth. Stealth is cool. Yeah, whatever.